Hello everybody, Maven here, and I'm currently undergoing a bunch of technical difficulties with my audio at the moment, so it's gonna suck here in the intro, but for the rest of the video it'll be fine, and I'll probably have it fixed by the next video, but just wanted to point that out. Anyways, the idea of this video started off pretty innocent. I was like, the Gifted Conviction Exotic Hunter chest is pretty interesting. I'll see what I can do with it and maybe make a fun niche build out of it. But the more I experimented with it, I was just in shock and utter disbelief of how strong it actually was. It went from a niche build to one of my new main builds. It's that good. And when I got to play test the final shape 2 weeks before release and got to try out the new exotics early, I actually thought the Gifted Conviction was underwhelming and the worst of the new exotics. But come to find out, I was actually just using it incorrectly. When you use it correctly and bring out its full potential, it's borderline broken. So let's break it down. Hope you enjoy. So let's start by reading the Gifted Conviction. Activating Ascension or Tempest Strike throws bouncing projectiles that jolt nearby targets, which are those little skip grenade projectiles. And you might think that this is this exotic's main function, but that's actually just icing on the cake. The real main focus of this exotic is the last line of text, which people tend to ignore. It says that jolting targets grants you damage resistance, and this is where the real OP shenanigans happen. The way this exotic works is that when you apply jolt to a target, you get 2 stacks of resist. You jolt another target, you get another stack resist. You jolt another target, you get another stack, resulting in ×4 resist, which is a whopping 50% damage resist that lasts 10 seconds and is refreshable if you jolt another target. But it doesn't stop there. We have the fragment facet of protection, which grants a 15% damage resistance when surrounded. And since we're on prismatic, we can transcend, which gives another 20% damage resistance. But it still doesn't stop there, because we have an artifact mod this season called Galvanic Armor, which grants us a 30% damage resistance when we are amplified. And since this is a jolt build, we're basically amplified 100% of the time. And you can't forget the resist mods on our armor as well. So you multiply all these resistances together on top of the fact that Stylish Executioner is constantly making us invisible, and you are basically invincible. How much resist does this all equate to? Well, I can't even begin to pretend I know, but if any Destiny geniuses are out there and want to calculate the total, let me know below in the comments. But at the very least, I can show you a quick comparison against Carl. So this is how fast Carl shreds us with his minigun with no resistances. And this is how fast he shreds us with the Gifted Conviction's ×4 resist, as well as Galvanic Armor from the artifact. Keep in mind that this is without faceted protection or transcendence, so we can potentially be even tankier than this. You can just see from the side-by-side comparison how insane this is. It exceeds pre-nerf woven mail. I'm actually shocked, no pun intended, that this isn't meta, because it's so easy to activate. Now let me address the elephant in the room. Maven, why the heck are you using the Brigand's Law as your Volt Shot weapon instead of the Indebted Kindness? Well, I was originally using the Indebted Kindness, but it has a big flaw. You see, the Gifted Conviction only grants a stack of resistance if you apply Jolt to a target, but if your Volt Shot kills the enemy in one shot, then you miss your chance to apply Jolt to them. And since the Indebted Kindness is a rocket sidearm, it's so strong that it will sometimes obliterate trash mobs and fail to give you a stack of resist. Here's a quick example against weak trash mobs. I proc Volt Shot, but you can see in the left side of my screen that resist does not pop up for the first few kills because I'm one-shotting these trash mobs and not getting the chance to apply Jolt to them. It does sometimes work though, as you can see in this clip as well, but it's buggy and will often fail if they get one shot. The new non-denouement raid bow can also get Volt Shot, which is insane, and it can sometimes have the same problem where it one-shots trash mobs and eats your resist trigger. The same thing can happen with hand cannons in some cases. The Indebted Kindness and the bow are incredible, don't get me wrong, and you can use them in tougher activities where the mobs will often live a shot. But when it comes to easier content, I would stick with sidearms, SMGs, auto rifles, and pulse rifles. A weapon I particularly want to try with this build is the brand new Corrasion pulse rifle with eddy current and Volt Shot that just came out in Act 2. But currently it's the first week, and since we don't have the node to be able to focus it yet, it's kind of tough to get the red borders. But I have a huge hunch that that pulse is going to be the best Volt Shot weapon for this build, and also just in the entire game in general. But in terms of all the viable Volt Shot weapons for this build, the one with the most raw damage output is the Brigand's Law, which is the one I'm currently using with this build until I unlock the crafted Corrasion. And for the other weapons I'm using with this build, I got the Envious Bait Edge Transit because it's the best legendary heavy in the game right now, and then I got the Wither Horde. I enjoy pairing the Wither Horde along with Jolt builds because you can do this. When you wither a jolted target, the tick damage from Wither periodically triggers the Jolt, resulting in great DOT damage. And this is a neat combo with this build because literally everything you do procs Invis with Stylish Executioner, your Ascension, your Volt Shot kills, your Withering Blade, your Grapple, literally everything makes you Invis. So while you are Invis, you have the safety to run up point blank to a fat enemy, stick them with the Wither Horde, and immediately Ascension to do the Jolt combo, and also escape their stomp. It's a cool maneuver that you can do with this build. But if you do need anti-barrier, you can just throw on a sniper instead of Wither Horde because we did get anti-barrier sniper in Act 2. Now let's continue breaking down the build for our fragments here. We got Facet of Awakening. This is just to make ionic traces from all of the jolty ad clear we're doing, which is good for our ability regen. And then we got Facet of Hope, so our dodge recharges quicker while we are amplified, which is basically at all times, so we can spam Ascension more. And then Facet of Balance just helps us recharge our abilities when we get multi-kills. Facet of Protection we already talked about, just helps us build be even tankier than it already is. And finally, I got Facet of Purpose to get overshields when I pick up Orbs of Power because I am on Tether. If you're not on Celestial Nighthawk, then you're most likely running Tether on Prismatic. Now I just wanted to give a quick honorable mention to Facet of Dominance. I am not running this, but you should. It's just that I'm picky. As a Strand Hunter main, I cannot live without grapple movement. It's like my Icarus dash. I gotta have it. But Facet of Dominance paired along with Arc Bolt grenades can give you more avenues to jolt and proc that resist. So it's the right thing to do, and you should do it unless you're addicted to grapple like I am. And if you did run this, I would probably replace Facet of Balance. And just one quick tip from the artifact, make sure to run Radiant Orbs. It's a super good mod to have this season. It makes it so you do not have to run Facet of Dawn. Now moving on to the mod setup, the class item does not really matter too much because everything in the class items like class ability based, but they don't proc off of Ascension. But anyways, we do have Bomber, Powerful Attraction, and Reaper. And apart from Reaper, our other ways to make orbs are Arc Siphon on the helmet, along with Heavy Handed on the gloves. And picking up these orbs will give us some ability cooldown from Absolution and Innovation on our boots, as well as some health back from Recuperation. And then we got various resists on the chest, melee damage resistance, concussive dampener, and then whatever elemental resist pertains to whatever the threat modifier is for the activity you're doing. And then we got Arc Loader for our Volt Shot weapon, and then Hands On, because we're going to be doing a lot of grapple punches and withering blades. And then we have Heavy Ammo Finder, and finally Impact Induction on the gloves, which is causing damage with a powered melee, reduces your grenade cooldown, but the grapple punch also counts itself as a powered melee, so it's essentially like grenade kickstart while also giving you some Withering Blade energy as well. And yes, I know I'm mentioning Withering Blade a lot, but you can run Smoke Bomb if you're doing a boss encounter, so you can apply Weaken. And for the stat distribution, I recommend double hundreds in Resilience and Discipline and tier 9 Mobility, and maintaining a minimum of 3 intellect and a minimum of 2 strength, and recovery does not matter. And that about does it for the build breakdown. It's an incredibly reliable and strong build, and it far exceeded my expectations that I had for Gifted Conviction. Without a doubt, this is my go-to Prismatic Hunter build, and I'll probably be maining this for a while. And for those who have been watching my channel for a long time, you know that I've been maining my Strand Assassin's Cowl build for over a year now, and that's probably not going to change, but if anything's going to get me off that build, at least for a little bit, it's this one. Now when it comes to the Prismatic Hunter as a whole, there's really only 2 builds that the Destiny community really utilizes, and that's the Celestial Nighthawk build for DPS, which I'll admit I use all the time. And then there's a Caliban's Hand, Lyra's Handshake Relativism build, which is strong, but personally I find it to be a niche and boring playstyle. And both of those builds are pretty niche really. One is a punchy boy, the other one's only for boss encounters. But if you wanted a Prismatic Hunter build just for general play that you can use all the time and main it, definitely this Gifted Conviction build. The only thing that this build asks of you is to run a Volt Shot weapon, but aside from that, you got free reign to run whatever you want in your other slots, and it's just generally a solid build no matter where you use it in. I'm telling you, you gotta give this build a try if you're a Hunter main. So as always, I'll leave a dim loadout link to this build down below in the description and also the pinned comment if you'd like to give it a try. And if you got any buddies who are Hunter mains as well, I'd appreciate if you share the video with them. I'm sure they'd find it useful. And if you enjoyed it, be sure to drop a like and a comment, because interacting with a video like that really helps out the algorithm. And if you are new here, please consider subscribing. Would love to have you here. And with that, I will catch you in the next video. See you later.